This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea. I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week we're heading back to Cape Town to have a look at the smallest offering from Robertson Caine, the Leopard 42. Today we will 1. Review its specifications, pricing and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking what would Sylvia say. 3. Naval gaze at an innovation and or adjustment that might make life aboard just a little easier. 4. Have a look at the used market and 3 to 5-year-old comparables. And 5. Give it a Dave score and compare the results with all our previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun will be sandwiched between a pairing of wine and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht, in an effort to capture the culture and people who gave birth to these wonderful vessels. Wine, waves, art and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes, so let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head east across North America, the Atlantic, the continent, and the Med, all the way to Tunisia and the home of last week's power cat, the Aventura 50 motor yacht. From here, we head southwest all the way down the African continent to Cape Town, South Africa, and the home port of this week's yacht at the Leopard Catamaran yards. Finally, we hop a little northeast to the Painted Wolf Wineries, home of this week's wine pairing, Painted Wolf, The Den, Cabernet Sauvignon. In 2006, Emma and Jeremy Borg decided to create a wine company with 2 main aims: to raise money to build a more hopeful future for endangered African wild dogs, and to allow Jeremy to pursue his ambitions as a winemaker, which he has done with great determination and flair. Creating the company involved many wonderful collaborations with friends from all walks of life, and over the years, with the help of these exceptional people, Painted Wolf Wines has grown to become a leading producer of award-winning wines, memorable ranges, and are never afraid to try something a little bit off the beaten track, and have raised around 3.5 million rand and a further considerable sum for social upliftment projects. Jeremy says, I like to work in harmony with each batch of grapes which we harvest. There are no recipes for winemaking at Painted Wolf. Each vineyard and vintage provides us with grapes which are slightly different. The taste, feel, size, color, and sugar levels of each unique parcel of grapes drives my winemaking decisions. I like to use the natural yeast found on the skins of grapes, as this helps in defining a sense of place for the wine. And I use wood in a restrained manner to avoid dominating the fruit. Mostly, I look for balance and vivacity in my wine. The Den Cabernet Sauvignon is an easy drinking style of Cabernet Sauvignon with classic flavors of blackcurrant and cigar box with some subtle yet toasty oak. A crowd-pleasing medium to full-bodied wine with typical cab flavors of red and black berries and cigar box augmented by toasted oak. The wine has a lovely, rich, mid-mouth texture, a long fruit-driven finish with a fresh, acidic, and a long fruit-driven finish with fresh acid and evident tannins which will soften with a little bottle aging. The Den wines are social wines to be enjoyed with friends and family. These wines are named for the Den, the heart of all African wild dog communities. Flavor-packed, soft and juicy comfort wines for good everyday drinking.
Oh, I think you're going to like that. Let's go have a look at that boat. Cheers.
Looking at the 42, Leopard's done a wonderful job of packing a lot of boat into a small package. Even the dimensions are not as sort of guppyish as you might anticipate in a boat of this length. They've also managed to put on, you know, all of those features that Leopard puts into all of their boats, even the bigger ones. The front doorway, the raised helm, the raised lounge area, that fantastic forward door onto a forward cockpit that not quite as dominant as the other boats, but still a wonderful access through the saloon to the forward cockpit without having to go up the weather decks. It really is an attractive boat, specifically for its size, an amazing value. Let's have a look at the new comparables. So today we are looking at the Leopard 42, the Fountain Peugeot Estrella 42, the Lagoon 42, and the Seawind 1260. Obviously, the Leopard 42 is probably the largest looking of the bunch with the highest freeboard. That's the way you get all of that space inside such a small package. The Estrella there looking a little sleeker. The Lagoon, it's, it's about the same dimensions, a little more rounded, a little more guppyish. The Seawind, completely unusual, a very streamlined profile, similar in size to the Estrella, but highly unique. As far as a sail area goes, it is the Leopard 42 at 113 square meters that leads the pack, followed by the Estrella at 106, then the Seawind at 94, and finally the Lagoon 42 at 90 square meters. Moving on to the cabin top, this is where the rubber really hits the road. Leopard has done an amazing job of putting a fly lounge on top of a 42-foot cat. They've also put in that beautiful skylight that carries right through to the forward cockpit, lounge cockpit I would call it. There's no seats, it's more loungers, but you still have forward saloon to cockpit access that gives you flexibility and safety that none of the other boats provide you. The Estrella, very nicely done. It has a sun pad up on the sky lounge there. No seats, no table, but still a very nice space. The same can be done on the Leopard, on the Lagoon 42. I have seen pads up there, and then both the Fountain Peugeot Estrella and the Lagoon have a faux forward cockpit, sort of seats, more sun pads than anything. The Seawind, a little more down to earth, nothing on the rooftop, nothing in the on the forward forward deck. A very sleek boat, and you will see the results of that in the coming numbers. As far as pricing goes, the best priced here is the Seawind at 468,660 euros, followed by the Lagoon at 516, then the Leopard at 561, and the FP Estrella at 596. Bear in mind, these prices change from day to day based on exchange and commodity prices, so it's really meant for just a relative comparison. Next, heading down into the saloon and the cockpit, and in the case of the Leopard, the forward cockpit, you can see you've got a substantial amount of space really on all of these boats, just because of the way they're laid out, especially for their size. The Leopard has the classic forward galley and aft settee, and then the FP has an aft port U-shaped galley, which is very nice, and then a forward L-shaped settee. And they do it so that you have more of a coffee table than a dinner table there, which honestly, in a boat this size, I prefer, because I'd be doing most of my entertaining in the aft cockpit. You can also see that nice faux forward cockpit there. The Lagoon 42, they have the starboard side galley, pseudo U-shape, and then the forward port side L-shaped settee with a sort of I'm not sure what you call it. It's not a stool, it's a double stool they've got there on that angular table. Again, they do a great job with the space they've got. Probably the most spacious feeling of the bunch is the Estrella 42. However, Seawind on the 1260, they have done something highly unique to really open up that saloon area. Now, their saloon is a little shallower than all of the rest, but they've dropped the galley into the starboard hull. And I think that's a brilliant place for it. A galley down and a boat this size provides you so much more usable space. And as you can see, you don't lose either of your starboard side cabins, guest cabins. The beauty of the Seawind we'll get right into in our next look as we go diving down into the Accommodation. Now, here is where Seawind shines, in my opinion. They have an athwartship, 3-side access, owner's berth in the owner's hull. I absolutely love that. Now, Lagoon and really the other three, specifically Lagoon and FP, have a lot of space around their fore, aft berths, owner and guest. So you really could call that 3-sided access. The Leopard, not as much. You get the impression of that way the bottom of the bed toes in, but you really don't have as much access up the side of either berth. So on this one, I would say the Leopard is left a little wanting versus the Lagoon and the Estrella. And again, I really like what Seawind has done with their configuration here. Diving into the numbers now, as we look across the length overall, you can see that the Lagoon is the longest, just by a hair at 42 foot. You've got the Seawind. The Seawind is the shortest at 40.85 or 41 even. Then you've got the Leopard at 41.6 and the Fountain Peugeot at 41.3. Heading across length at the waterline, the longest there is the Fountain Peugeot Estrella 42. Beam, the widest is the Lagoon, as usual, at 7.7 meters or 25.25 feet. Draft here, the Seawind leads it, and of course this is one of their industry-leading areas, especially in their 1600 with the retractable rudders as well as their dagger boards. But on this one, it's very admirable at a mere 3.81 feet or 1.16 meters. Then the air draft, the highest are both the Leopard 42 and the Fountain Peugeot 42 at 67.8 feet. Displacement, the Seawind comes out on top at a mere 8.2 metric tons. The heaviest of the bunch is the Leopard at 13.7 metric tons. Then it would be the Lagoon at 12.1 and the Fountain Peugeot at 11.5. But again, the Seawind leads the pack significantly at 8.2 metric tons. Upwind sail area, it's the Leopard in the lead at 113.1 square meters. And then it'll be the Fountain Peugeot at 106, followed by the Seawind at 94.2, and then the Lagoon at 90.0 square meters. Heading down to the engines, the Leopard and the Lagoon have the two 45 horsepower, and then the Fountain Peugeot at two twin 30s and the Seawind at twin 29s. As far as fuel capacity goes, the Leopard leads in tankage at 600 liters. And as far as water goes, it's the Fountain Peugeot just by a hair, actually along with the Seawind at 700 liters. Leopard is 660, and then Lagoon is 300 liters. Getting into the more technical numbers here, looking at hull construction, by far it would have to be the Seawind in the lead with a vacuum-infused vinyl ester, and of course foam core and then gel coat. The rest of them pretty much the same with PVC polyester and vinyl resins, usually polyester and a vinyl outer, and then the foam as a core. The one that doesn't have a foam as a core all the way through is the Lagoon 42, and they've got balsa cores above the waterline, and it's solid below. So, I mean, you could make arguments for the balsa. I know a lot of people poo-poo it, but, you know, it is a good material. And, of course, the solid core below the waterline adds to the weight, but it is a good construction. Looking at the actual performance numbers here, or performance indicators, sail area to displacement, which is indicative of power. By far the leader is the sea wind at 23.56, followed by the Fountain Peugeot at 21.12, then the Leopard at 20.09, and the Lagoon at 17.35. Going to displacement to hull length at the waterline, or an indicator of heaviness, here it's lowest man wins. Again, sea wind is the winner at 117.1, followed by, a long way back, by the Fountain Peugeot at 169.7, and then the Lagoon 42 at 172.82, and our big girl, the Leopard, at 195.51. Comfort ratio, of course, all that weight on the Leopard brings her up in the comfort ratio at 17.37, putting her well ahead of the pack, which are all around 13 and 11. Looking at actual speed indicators, or percentage of wind speed at 10 knots of wind, we're looking at the sea wind by a long shot at 76% of wind speed, followed by the Fountain Peugeot at 68%, the Leopard at 64%, and the Lagoon, nobody's surprised, at 61%. If you're enjoying the content, please take a moment and do subscribe. It costs nothing and it really helps the channel. If you could also hit that like button and forward this off to a couple of friends, inviting them to join, I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Hopping aboard, what would Sylvia say? Well, I think Sylvia would like this. We'll talk about some of the aesthetic that she may not like immensely, but overall, for a 42-foot yacht, this is a tremendous package that packs a lot of fun into a small configuration. Beautiful aft boarding ladder there that makes getting on and off really easy. Nice flexi teak all around here. A very simple davit system for raising your dinghy. A beautiful cockpit area, nice wide weather decks, and of course you had a glimpse of that lovely teak table in the cockpit with the insets. Here are your nice steps that take you up onto the fly lounge, and it's a really comfortable little space. I mean, given that, again, this is a 42-foot yacht, it's not that big. The other nice thing, of course, this being a small package, is that you can get up and easily access every part of your sail bag just by standing on the deck. Look at me here. I can get right up there. There is really no struggle whatsoever. So if there's a jam, any problems, you just hop up there and you're off to the races. Now on the smaller vessels here, like the 42, of course, you don't have a direct staircase from the helm. But you can see here, you've got tremendous space and comfort up here, just with me in the shot here to give you some perspective. It really is a great spot to sit. And look at the view you have. Can you imagine your sundowners here? And of course, when your captain's at the helm, you can chit-chat away. You feel completely connected. The only difference here being that you have a port side staircase away from the actual helm station. Looking up the weather decks here, again, you've got the cable safety lines, which I'm not a fan of, but you've also got a lovely princess seat up here. You've got decent-sized trampolines, and there is your lounging cockpit area here. There's nice sun pads go down on here. And you can access this very, very easily right from the saloon. You can open that door and have a major amount of ventilation going right through your saloon, so you save on your on your air condition, and the way the brow of the of the saloon comes out over that cockpit area is very, very nice. Here we are at a very nicely protected helm station. You've got the hard top over top of it, a nice double wide seat, stairs down into the cockpit area, complete communication into the cockpit and indeed the saloon, and really tremendous visibility. Of course, if your friends are up having some sundowners up there, you can chit chat away with them. All your lines are run straight back to the helm. It really is a highly secure feeling area, and the hard top above it just gives you that sense of protection from the sun and the elements. That would, I guess, if you're a novice sailor, make you feel way more secure and probably in some cases make the difference between carrying on your trip or not. Okay, some navel gazing now. We're going to look at ways to maybe make the performance a little stronger on this little baby, and that would be rudder winglets. Rudder winglets play a crucial role in improving the performance and handling of catamarans in various ways. Stability and balance is one. Rudder winglets provide additional lift to the catamaran's rudders. This added lift helps counteract the heeling forces that can occur, especially in strong winds or rough seas. By providing extra stability, winglets help keep the catamaran balanced, reducing the risk of capsizing. Also, if you can picture that rudder winglet in the water, when the nose dives down into a wave, that winglet is literally on a slant down, pulling the aft down as well, so it stabilizes and reduces your hobby horsing. Upwind performance, well, lift generation. Rudder winglets are designed to generate lift. Similar to an airplane wing, when the catamaran is sailing upwind, the winglets create additional lift on the leeward side of the rudder. This lift force helps to counteract the heeling forces that occur when the boat is trying to sail into the wind. As a result, the catamaran can maintain a more upright position, reducing the risk of excessive heeling and allowing it to sail efficiently at higher angles to the wind. It also produces reduced leeway. Rudder winglets can reduce leeway by providing lateral lift as the catamaran sails closer to the wind. The winglets create a horizontal force that pushes the boat to windward, helping to minimize leeway. This enables the catamaran to maintain a more direct course upwind, ultimately leading to faster speeds and improved upwind performance. Reduce drag. Rudder winglets are designed to reduce drag through minimizing the vortex formation. Without winglets, the flow of water around the rudders can be turbulent, leading to the formation of vortices, which increase drag. Rudder winglets help to smooth the flow of water by directing it over the curved surfaces. This reduces the likelihood of vortex formation and associated drag, resulting in a more streamlined and efficient passage through the water. Also, there's some safety factor in the prevention of broaching. Broaching is a dangerous situation where a catamaran loses control and is suddenly turned sideways by a large wave or a strong wind gust. Rudder winglets provide additional lift, making it more challenging for the catamaran to be pushed off course. This helps prevent broaching, enhancing safety during challenging sailing conditions. Okay, back on board. Looking around the cockpit, it's a very comfortable space. Look at that beautiful teak table. They've put a little varnish on it, bless their hearts. In we come into the saloon. I really do like their layouts here. It's a very comfortable space, and the colors they're using now have warmed up. I do wish they would offer a real wood finish or even a wood-like finish rather than just a more plastic veneer style. But the look of the fit and finish and all of the hardware is really nice. You've got good light coming down here into the master hull, and it's a really pleasant space. Look at the inset indirect lighting. The way a full-size washer dryer is installed in there, very nice and neat in the bathroom area here, and it's a good-sized head. Turning around again, heading to the aft, you can see this workspace area, the TV, which swings out so you can watch it from the bed. So let's talk a little more navel gazing on some of my favorite pet peeves. Why can't a Leopard use beautiful upholstery detail like this and a cabin sole finish like this, which looks so much warmer and elegant? And how about offering a real wood luxury owner's version? What's the harm in that? It's just veneers and the CNC machines cut them the same way. It just makes sense. The overall effect on what is a really great vessel would be absolutely tremendous and could command a premium price, in my opinion. The other thing is, you don't have to go all the way to a real wood veneer such as the ML here. Windaloo in their Motor Yacht 50, which is the upholstery detail and cabin sole we were looking at, don't really have a lot of real, or if any, real wood veneers. But it's just the nature and the combinations and the colors and the textures they're working on, and details in that upholstery which cue your mind to think this is more luxurious than it actually is. I really think this is an area where Leopard could take a step up and offer an owner's luxury finish package. Back on board, we're looking at the owner's hull again. Look at the size of the windows here. And all of them have nice openings on them. There's nice opening in the ceiling, lots of cross ventilation and overhead ventilation. You can see what I meant about the towed-in bed. It gives the impression you can walk up a little ways, but really not much. Back up into the saloon here. That table is tremendous. I wish it would slide out and drop all the way down into a coffee table configuration. Outremer has done that, and I think all the other manufacturers should look at the same scenario. It's just a slide out. Actually, I think Jeannot has also done it on their 60. Into the passenger's side or the guest side hull, they have a beautiful shower here. There is their forward berth. I wouldn't want to be squished in there unless I was, a couple of small kids or one adult. But, it's in the bow of the boat. Heading to the aft here, again, you can see very nice shower, very comfortable head here for this compartment. So both compartments have their own head. All sorts of indirect lighting, all sorts of windows and ventilation, and a very comfortable bed area there with some storage space along the starboard side. Now let's head back up into the saloon. You can see what I mean about the saloon sole there. If it used that materials we saw in the Aventura, man, what a difference that would make. But overall, this is an extremely attractive boat. I think they've just done an absolute brilliant job in a small package. Okay, let's start looking at some pre-owned comparables. First up, we have the Seawind, a 2020 Seawind 1260, 41-foot boat. They are asking $710,000 versus our brand new Leopard at $898 or $900,000. So 7 versus 9. Honestly, I would probably lean to the Leopard on this for my applications. Obviously, the Seawind is a better performer, but as far as usable space with that beautiful access to the front, to the bow, through the saloon, and that ventilation, that fantastic fly lounge. I just think it's an absolutely outstanding package. Next up, we are looking at a Fountain Peugeot Estrella 42. It's from 2019, so a couple of years old, 3 years old. We are looking for $600,000 versus $900,000 on the Leopard. Based on the condition of this boat, it would probably be hard for me to justify the delta. I would probably end up on the Fountain Peugeot, although I would miss that beautiful fly lounge and the forward access. Next up is the Lagoon 42. It's a 2020, so a 2-year-old boat, 3-year-old boat, I guess, at just shy of 500,000 versus 900,000. Again, very nice boat. 400 grand difference. I could figure out some pads for the roof and whatnot. I'd probably do the Lagoon on this one. Although, again, I would miss those other features. Finally, we're looking at a 2019 Bali 4.3. So we're looking at a 3-4-year-old boat here. They're looking for 625,000. This would be hard. 600 versus 900. The Bali has a lot going for it. There is something about the Leopard that I tend to prefer, but I'd be hard-pressed to justify that for a $300,000 Delta, so I would say the Bali would win out. Okay, it's time for Monohull heresy. And if you'll bear in mind that we add 20% to the length of the comparable Catamaran to get an equivalent monohull comparative. So here at 42 feet, we're adding about 8.5 feet to it. So you're looking at 49 to 52 foot monohulls for a comparable. And first up, we've got a 2020, a 3-year-old Dufour 530, a 51-foot boat, and they're looking for 600 grand versus 900 grand. I would definitely go with the Leopard on this one. There's just so much more space and stability, and yes, this is a very nice boat, but I would find the Leopard far more livable. Next up, we're looking at a Bavaria C50 from 2021, so 2-year-old boat, looking at about 650 versus 900. If I had the 250, I would still go with the Cat on this one. Bavaria is a nice boat, but without a nice aft full beam berth, I'm not into it. Next up, we're looking at a Hansa 505, 2017. So we're looking at about a 6-year-old boat here, 5-6-year-old boat. They're asking 300 versus 900. Well, I mean, yeah, for the difference, I'll go with the Hansa, unless I had the money. If I had the money, I'd still go with the Leopard. And finally, we're looking at a 2021 Jeanneau 51, a 50-foot boat. They're looking 5.5 versus 9. And the Jeanneau is a lovely vessel. I would probably be leaning towards the Jeanneau on this. But again, I would prefer, especially for Sylvia, the Catamaran configuration. And so that would, I'm not going anywhere unless she says yes. So it doesn't matter how cheap it is. This would be a real toss-up, and it would be depending on her. Okay, we're into the Dave score. So how did she do? Well, given that she's only a 42-foot boat, and my preference to sort of 48 to 52-foot cats, she did remarkably well. We're looking at an interior at a 6 out of 10. And honestly, that could easily be brought up if they would just do a few touches to the upholstery, the cabin sole, the nature of the finish. If they had a luxe package they could add, they could take this easily up to an 8. For exterior elegance, it's a 7. It's a really nice exterior and has a lot to offer. Comfort, 8 on the interior. It's a very comfortable boat. Exterior 7, really solid rating for that, predominantly because of the lovely aft cockpit, the access to the forward cockpit, and that fly lounge. Quality, I'll give it an 8. The Leopards are a well-built boat, and many have been delivered on their own bottoms across nasty stretches of the ocean. The overall, especially now that they've shifted to a foam core, I think they're a solid boat. Performance, obviously, it's a 6, maybe a 5. Lazy Sailor, it's a 7. I mean, there's nothing special, but it is all the lines back to the helm. It's good. Condo, it's a 6 only because, you can't have a real condo feeling in a 42-foot cat. It's just too small. Geek, it's a 6. There's nothing really geeky about it. And value for the money, I'd give it a solid 8. I think it's a great value for the money. Moving on to Art of the Region. This week is Waterfront Scene by Isabel Leroux, oil on canvas. Isabel Leroux was born in Rustenburg, Northwest Province, South Africa. She began her career as an art teacher. Isabel has been painting professionally since 1974 and has held numerous solo exhibitions locally as well as overseas. Her works are in great demand, are included in the collections of financial institutions, local companies, the South African Airways, and many other corporate sectors, and are sought after by art galleries, art dealers, and private investors. She is one of the most prolific artists in South Africa. Isabel's work is contemporary and expressionistic. The colors used are vibrant and courageous and reflect her passion for painting and life. The themes are influenced directly by that which she experiences or creates out of an emotional involvement with the subjects. A first impression of her art is vibrancy. The courageous use of color adds to the expressionistic quality of emotion and feeling. She paints life and creates her paintings in the journey of her own life. She is well known for her typical South African scenes, especially those from the Cape. But her travels abroad bring new dimension to her work. Well, that's our boat, our wine, and our art for this week. I do hope you've enjoyed it. I absolutely love the South African art. I'm not sure about you. I love the expressionistic bright colors and the wonderful shapes. And of course, they have amazing subject matter for which to paint fantastic scenes. The boat itself, I really do like Leopard. I like what they've done. I wish they'd add a little luxe version, up their game a wee bit for the private owner group. But overall, they produce a fantastic product with great features and a great value to their customers. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week. Cheers.